Hey there! Welcome to the channel where you will find love, laughs, and DIYs. Let me introduce myself. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I am tickled pink that you're here with me today. I'm going to be participating in a Christmas in July collab with some of my great friends here on YouTube. It's going to be a playlist that is jam-packed with Christmas inspiration. And we'll talk about that just a little bit later on. But for now, let's jump right in. If this is the first time you've ever been to my channel, first of all, let me say welcome. I'm a small business owner here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am the owner and creator of Crafty Kathy and Kit's Vintage Farmhouse. So the pieces that I created for my Christmas collab is going to be for resale in my booth. They always have a vintagey flair because I just love that vintage vibe. That's kind of my thing. So if you are interested in this type of content, stick around and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you. I love for you to leave my channel being inspired and being uplifted and feeling better than when you came. So let's jump into our first one. I have some old scrap pieces of wood that are cut down to about a foot long. We're going to make some Christmas trees. And all I did was use my square and I laid it down and I shaped out my little triangle. And then I went over to my saw and I cut about 4 different ones out in different varying sizes. Since these are just old scrap pieces of wood, some of the edges were kind of rigid and rough looking. So I just took down my sanding sponge and went down along the edges to straighten those out. And then I have some different types of Christmas paper, and I traced out my triangle, and I cut out 4 different pieces of my Christmas paper so we can put these on the front of the trees. This paper came out of a Christmas pack that I got off of Amazon, and I will link that in my Amazon store under the cardstock. I just took an Elmer's, the little glue stick, and I went all around very good, especially around the edges, because that's all we needed to get it to stick to the wood, and I just put it down. I like to use my little Mod Podge brayer because it just helps to roll it down and get those edges to stick really good. You can even use a cup. You don't have to have this special brayer or anything of the sort. I continued cutting out all the different trees with different paper on each one, but on the second one I felt that it needed just a little bit extra security, so I'm using my Type Bond Quick and Thick, and this is just a wood glue. It's very thick and it's the best glue that I can imagine for wood. It's awesome. So I put a little bit of that down on the wood, but then on the back of the cardstock I still used my glue stick, and I just feel like it's going to be a better hold. I needed to use my sanding sponge to clean up the edges just a little bit, so you always sand away from yourself in a downward motion, and I use like a 60 grit to do this because it comes right off of there, and it looks like the paper was actually made on the wood. It's always a perfect way. You don't have to use an X-Acto knife or anything. Just use that sanding sponge and it will come off perfect every time. I had some stickers in this little Christmas pack that came from Amazon, and so I just grabbed some of them off that were like little balls that goes on a tree, and I just placed them on that one larger tree. Then I went outside and attached all my trees together with my little nail gun. One little nail through each one of them, and it stuck on perfectly. When I came back in, I felt like it needed something else, so I have one of these little houses from the Dollar Tree that came out around Valentine's Day. I'm going to take some of my aged pine paint, and it's made by Home Decor, and then also the tint. It's like a wood tint, same as the antique wax, but it's a walnut wood color, and I added a little bit of that to the aged pine for a dark green color. And then I just pulled off the top layer of that house because it's just paper, and then I gave this 2 coats of that darker green color. I took that Home Decor wood tint again in the walnut color and did the roof system with that, and then I just take my lint-free rag to wipe off any of the excess. Then I took that wood tint and did the sides of my trees because those will be showing. And I didn't wipe off the excess there. I wanted it to be that dark walnut color, so I just went down all of the sides with that. Now, if you know me, you know I love my drop cloth. I took a small piece of drop cloth, and then you just make like a cut with your scissors, and then you literally pull it, and it's going to rip straight down, but it's going to give you that frayed look that I like. I'm going to put this on the very front of my house, and so I measured out exactly how much I needed so my edges could still be frayed. And I'm going to use one of these transfers that comes out of the Christmas IOD book from last year, and it just simply says Christmas greetings. I just cut my words out separate, the Christmas and the greetings, because it makes it easier, and I'm going to put one on top and one on bottom. And all you do is you pull off that white backing, and it's almost like a sticker. You lay it down where you want to put it on at, and then they send you a special little tool, and you just rub that tool across it, and then pull up your transfer paper, and you've got your words on there beautifully. And then you're going to take that piece of paper that it came on, and you're going to burnish it, which means you just rub it all over the top, and that helps it stick a little bit better, and it also takes kind of the edging away from the letters that's on there, and it comes out perfect every time. I just take my glue gun and I glue these down where the frayed part is not glued. That way it can still kind of stick up and look more frayed, if that kind of makes any sense there. And if you know anything about me, you know that once I get started adding things, I can't stop. So I found this little deer out of the wood pile collection from Hobby Lobby. He was just 50 cents. And I just painted him with that wood stain and wiped off the excess. And we're going to put him in the front of these trees. I used a combination of the hot glue and the wood glue so that he would have a permanent stick with the wood glue, and that hot glue would be something that would hold him on right now. I also went back outside and shot a nail with my nail gun to get the little house to stick onto the section too. And also, if you know me, you know I love my buttons because they just give it that old vintagey vibe. I don't know, I love them. And I think these extra special little touches is what makes your piece. I took one of my Christmas stickers, it's a little wreath, and I stuck it up at the top, and then I just placed my buttons there where it says Christmas greetings to finish this piece. And I hope you guys like this one. I sure think it's sweet. Enjoying this video so far, there's a few things I'd like to ask you. Why don't you hit that little red subscribe button and become a part of our family here on YouTube? And ring that bell because YouTube's going to let you know every time that I upload a video. I would love to have you here as part of my family. And today's Christmas collab was put on by my friend Liana at Liana DIY. And I am so happy to be a part of this playlist. I'm going to leave the link in the description down below. There are several awesome creators in this playlist, so don't forget to go to the playlist and check us all out. Now let's go into DIY number 2. I absolutely love working with shadow boxes. They make everything perfect and beautiful. So I have this 11 by 14 that I got at a yard sale, and it actually came from Hobby Lobby, and I got it for a fraction of the price. So don't forget to go check out your yard sales. You can always find awesome deals there. The inner part of the shadow box is like a drop cloth material. and we're going to use my brand new DIY paint that's called Gypsy Green. This color is to die for. And guys, I forgot to mention to y'all that if you need any paint or any IOD products, I want you to go to my friend Lori over at Miltonsdaughter, and she'll hook you up. She's a good friend of mine, and she offers all of my subscribers 10% off all of your IOD products. So whether it's transfers, molds, stamps, whatever you're looking for, you can get 10% off when you use the code CraftyCathy10. And of course, I'll leave all this in the link down below. Don't forget to go check her out. Now we're using Gypsy Green. This is kind of like a material, right? So when you want to paint a material or a fabric, you're going to have to use a little bit of water. So I use my spray mister and I mist it, and then I go over it with the Gypsy Green, and I just kind of went at it at a swiping motion to where I really don't know what I was doing. I was just trying not to fully paint the picture green, but just kind of give it a green ambiance, I guess you could say. This was one of those projects like many that I start. I didn't really have a absolute idea of what I wanted this to look like, and when I was finished, I was pleasantly pleased with the outcome. And it's been a little while since we've sublimated anything, so I have this small 4x6 picture, and it's a Christmas scene. It's gorgeous, of the little red truck, and we're going to sublimate this on the drop cloth. In case you guys have noticed, there's a pattern today. I'm using drop cloth in almost all of my projects because I absolutely love it. It's got that vintage vibe, and it just reminds me of an old vintage Christmas. So what I did was just cut just like I did earlier, and just rip these to the size that I wanted to get it to. Then I lay my picture down face first on my little Cricut mat, and I put my wax paper down, and then I put it on 385 for 60 seconds. Sublimation is fun and easy, and it comes out perfect every time. It looks beautiful on any material you sublimate to. I wanted my piece to be just a little bit smaller, so I did just like I did earlier. I cut a slit and then ripped it, and it rips perfectly every time because I had a certain idea in my mind at this point of what I was going to do. But I felt like the color of green that I did was not enough for what I had in mind at this point. So I just misted my material just a little bit more with the water, and I painted over it with that Gypsy Green and added a little bit more. Then I took some old small pieces of wood that I had and made almost like a box shape at the bottom. And we're going to use that wood-tight wood glue, or Type Bond, wood glue, and we're also going to use hot glue along with it, and we're just going to place these along the bottom. When I got the wood down where I wanted it, I took my hot glue gun and I glued my little picture, my little sublimation scene all over, and I kind of stretched it when I did this so that it would be tight. And I made sure that I did not glue the frayed end down because we want that to be fray and just kind of free flowing. I added some beautiful red Christmas roses down in this little pocket that I created, but later on they did not fit inside that shadow box without it being smushed, and I didn't like the way it looked. But I had to show you that part because I added on at the top this little IOD transfer that says Merry Christmas, and I did the same thing. You lay it down and you use your special tool to rub it, and then you just pull it off and you burnish it, which means you rub that top film all over the top of it to make sure that it sticks well and takes off any kind of pieces that are on the sides. When you make one of these little pockets, you want to make sure that you have something that will kind of stuff it and make it look full inside. So I just grabbed the closest thing I had, which was my piece of wax paper, and stuffed it down in there so that it would look nice and full. I ended up using these small red flowers from the Dollar Tree because they were the only ones that were small enough to fit and not be smushed inside the shadow box. So I just put a little bouquet inside there. I love making these little pockets. They're so sweet. And then, of course, I gave it the finishing touch with 4 buttons, one on each side or each corner of my little scene. I hope you like this one. I think this one is so cute and it's going to sell really fast. On my last DIY, I have a picture of a vintage Santa Claus. I just printed it out on my printer and I wet my fingers because I like anything that I'm going to decoupage or Mod Podge. I like to use the wet around it and rip it because it just gives it a more natural look instead of having straight edges. So I just wet my fingers and wet the edge of this, went around it and ripped it in no particular fashion. I'm going to use my glue stick to put this on the front of this old music sheet. It's the music of Jingle Bells, and all I did was printed that off of my printer and I soaked it in tea and wrinkled it up so it would look old and vintagey. And then I just take that and put it right in the middle, use my brayer again so that it sticks very well. And Santa Claus looks like he's made right onto that piece of paper. And then I take that brush that I had the antique wax on and I just go all around the picture and really concentrate on the edges of my Santa Claus. I've got an 8x10 picture frame that's very ornate and pretty, and I started using my gypsy green on it and realized that I needed my slick stick. Dixie Belle slick stick is what you use on any surface that doesn't hold paint very well, like metal, plastic, glass, that type thing. Now this is almost like a hard plastic, and I just felt like I needed to put it down. It's almost like a primer, if you will. So I put it down everywhere, and then I gave this 2 coats of that gypsy green, which is my new favorite green color. I took a baby wipe and I'm going to wet distress. And wet distress just means right when you put the paint on, you're going to rub over any areas that you want to come off or the paint to come off. Now, if you remember, underneath that original frame is a dark color, and that's what I wanted to come through. So I had to go through that white in order to get through the dark. And in some spots, I left a little bit of the white showing because I thought that looked really cool to have both colors showing. It was old and chippy looking. And then I'm going to use my Dixie Belle Best Dang Wax because we've got to seal this, and it's all I've got to seal it. But any kind of wax will seal it well. And so we're just going to seal this all around with a paintbrush, and then I take my little rag and wipe off the excess. And since I put down the clear wax, it makes any wax that you put on top of it easier to wipe off. So I'm going to use this wood tint in that dark walnut color, and I just rubbed it on anywhere where I wanted it to be a little bit darker or that ornate shape to pop out, which was all around the edges. And then I just simply wiped off the excess with that lint-free rag just like I did before. I just used the antique wax that I had in my stash. However, I am going to get some dark wax from Miss Lori at Miltonsdaughter. And don't forget to go visit her for all your paint and IOD needs. I'll leave her information in the description box below. I can't tell you enough how nice she is. She will help you with your order or anything that you need. And plus you get that 10% off everything but the paint because DIY doesn't allow their paint to be discounted. And in the corner of our frame, we're going to add some buttons, of course. And I'm using my E6000 for this. And so what I did was just use one really large button a medium-sized button, and then a small one. I'm known for kind of doing that. I just think it gives it just an extra sweet little touch. And like I said, it's always those extra little tidbits that make the piece so cute, and I think that's why my pieces sell well. I believe when your customers tell that you take the time to put all these extra little tidbits on it to make it beautiful for them, that it makes them happy, and that's what I like to do. So I have this few little pieces of I guess it's a Christmas pick. I got it from Amazon last Christmas. I've got to get some more because this was only one. I pulled it apart and added the 3 little stems up at the top, and of course, I finished it off with my signature buttons. And then I found a couple of beautiful little rusted stars that came off of Lord knows what, and it just looked right at the top. I hope you enjoy.
Finally seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage love.
If you stuck around through this whole video, I just want to say thank you so much. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, to hit that little red subscribe button. What in the world are you waiting for? You know you want to be a part of our family. And don't forget to go check out the playlist and see all the other creators and their Christmas in July videos. Also, don't forget to go visit my friend Lori for all your paint and IOD needs. And in my next video, it's going to be the start to the finish. I'm talking about building the walls and everything of my new booth, the cost it incur, and all the beautiful things that are inside. In case you ever want to build a booth, it's got good tips, or in case you just want to take a look and see what I've done. So I'm going to leave you guys with my bloopers, as always, at the end, and I hope y'all enjoy. Y'all stay safe this week, and everybody be blessed. I love y'all.
Well, hey there, everybody. It's Cousin Bobby Joe, Kathy's beautiful, adorable, singing, talented, stars in my eyes cousin, all the way from the back hills of Tennessee. Oh, yeah, baby. And I come on here just to tell you hello. Well, as a matter of fact, if y'all remember, a couple of months ago, Kathy gave me this here channel because I'm going to Hollywood real soon. Did you know that a real live Hollywood agent found me right here on this channel? Oh, yeah. And once he saw me, he knew I had to be in his next movie. And guess who the leading man in that movie's going to be? Mr. Johnny Depp. They've got me playing old Amber Turd. Can you believe that? Oops, my dog stepped on a bee. Shout out. You know that I'm a great actress. And guess what I would look like with my hair done up blonde? I'd probably look like some kind of beautiful redneck mini pearl that come out of the hills, honey. Oh, my goodness. I might even look like Dolly Parton if they do me a little favor and get me a little bustation going on. Shout out, Dolly. You know I love you. But my favorite, guys, has always been the great Loretta Lynn. I mean, come on. There's never been another one like her. And did you know that I can even sing like Loretta? Oh, yeah. I went to her ranch this summer. It was one of my many vacations that I took. I tried to go find Loretta at the ranch, but security come and got me and told me that I couldn't be jumping over them fences and stuff like that. They said that she didn't even live there anyway. Now that was hurtful because, you know, I've always loved Loretta. My favorite song is Fist City. Have y'all ever heard that? It goes a little something like this because you know that I'm a singer too. It goes, oh, well, you been making your brags around town that you've been loving my man. But the man I love, when he picks up trash, he puts it in a garbage can. And that's what you look like to me. And what I see's a pity. You better shut your face and get out of my way if you don't want to go to Fifth City. Yeah, shout out Loretti. All right. Well, anywho, I just wanted to jump on here and tell you guys that I'm still headed to Hollywood. I'm not sure when Mr. Depp's going to call me. I just got out of jail last week on account of he put a restraining order against me. So I'm not really sure. As soon as that thing expires, I'm going to be tracking him down again. It ain't no thing. You know how it goes. Oops, my dog stepped on a bee. Anyways, I love y'all so much, and I'll be seeing you ASAP. Yeah, baby.
This is what you call a queen-size nesting box. Come on, Retta, let's go get some mealworms. You're not going to hatch them eggs, baby. You can sit on them all day, and it's not going to happen. Well, come on. Come on. It's still under there. Come on, let's go get us some mealworms. Come on. Come on, Retta. Come on, Retta.